Oh no. Oh no. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, we're keeping it. Hey, you geeks! I did it! I took your guys' advice, and frankly, it's been a lifelong goal of this channel to really acquire 2 separate bookshelves. I'm filming in a former school, so this is really just a matter of me systematically going through all the other classrooms until I found a second bookshelf. I know! And now, never let it be said that I don't take your guys' advice, because I got them, and now I need to grade my basement to get all the books to fill all the shelves. I have more books, don't worry. There was a time in my life when I actually read physical books and only understood like a third of it, what I was reading. So I have the shelf trophies, not to mention the World Hopper Bulk Goblet from 2024, which is still unopened at my house, so we will fix that very soon. Oh, and one other tiny thing. I finished my second draft of my fantasy romance novel. Oh, on time, on point, and coming in at 92,555 words. I have it memorized. We're at bing, 102%. On point for my 90K word goal. I'm so excited. Like, the weather outside is gloomy and gray, and usually every reason why I don't like to write in November. But I almost forgot to take my vitamin D supplement this morning because I'm just so happy right now. So rather than just having me gush over all these wonderful things, let's break down the process a little bit. At first, by giving an aside on the flirty fight scene and how that really contributed to what I knew I needed to do for the final battle. That one part of the final battle was super easy, barely an inconvenience. There was an entire other, 3 characters who I needed to do something with, and that was what I was fixing this week and had a massive bout of writer's block, and I'll get into later how I got through it. So, let's start with the flirty fight. The end of Act 1 finale is the flirty fight scene. It is very Mask of Zorro. Act 1 flashback sequences I talk about is they attend a masquerade ball. Boy meets girl, girl flirts with boy, boy kind of flirts back, but shenanigans happen. They end up dancing, clearing the floor for safety reasons, actually. I think it's rather clever. Of course I do, I wrote it. It's up to the readers to decide that, but I like it. Further shenaniganery ensues, and we get the main female character stranded in a snowy wood of sorts, and she sees a lamppost, and she's like, oh, let's go to the lamppost because it's dark and the night is full of terrors. And at the lamppost, she runs into a group of fawns. And this is where I love playing with the Inklings ideas, because apparently J.R.R. Tolkien told C.S. Lewis that if Lucy met a fawn and a lamppost in the snowy wood, the result would not have been, he asked her for tea. The results would have been, horrific, not appropriate for children. And so our female main character now is running into a group of fawns in the snowy wood. And this ain't C.S. Lewis. She gets to take a stand against them because, she's not weak. Fighting isn't her strongest suit, but it's a skill set. And of course, male main character shows up to help, but then she's kind of angry at him because he majorly embarrassed her and put her in a potentially dangerous situation, though he was trying to be protective. It's a balance. Enemies to lovers is so hard without being toxic, and I'm trying to cut the line very fine. So then they have her fight against him for her honor because she's just angry. And there we get the flirty fight. Now, so yeah, that's basically the highlights reel of Mask of Zorro, bing, 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 in like 4 chapters. We've only got 90k words, guys. Gotta keep it moving. But the problem I had in my first draft with this flirty fight scene is you see it in Mask of Zorro, you see it in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Fourth Wing, the book, also has a lot of flirty fights in the form of sparring matches, and all of those fights have one thing in common. They don't result in the main characters being on the same side at the end of the fight. There's sexual tension in the air, but there isn't a resolution. And so when I was writing my first draft, I was like, I really need these guys to get on the same page at the end of this fight, at the end of the night, because the next morning is when the opening scene of the book is, and the opening scene of the book is only not toxic if it's entirely her idea. I really needed that, and I'm like, how do I fix this? And I'm like, well, they're in the dark woods at night. It's winter. What lurks the woods of Minnesota in winter? And the solution was a Wendigo. So in the time-honored tradition of so many stories, they're going to bond over fighting a common enemy. And that common enemy is a Wendigo. And then this also solves why the Fawns were evil, because they were also under Wendigo influence of sorts. Wendigos are more like parasites that then morph into like the dark spirits from Legend of Korra season 2, but hopefully in a tonally consistent manner. Oh gosh, did I fit? Just realizing that my story kind of subconsciously does follow the Legend of Korra season 2 arc. Let's say I am reclaiming those tropes of Legend of Korra season 2 by actually having like foreshadowing, and I'm not introducing the main villain as like a potential sympathetic character who's going to show like nuance. No, my character, my villain figuratively kicks a puppy, basically. Like, that's the end of Act 2, so you're not supposed to see him as sympathetic at all. In the first chapter, which I finally have alpha readers looking at, and alpha reader was like, yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this character here. Your protagonist plays it very close to the chest. I'm like, good. That's how it's supposed to be. Like, the best the villain gets is in the first chapter, where he's more like Mr. Darcy's first proposal to Elizabeth Bennet. That was very much what I was trying to channel, where he says awkward things that are rude and is trying to be like, I have money and status and you don't, but we should totally marry anyway. So that's like the most neutral he gets, where it's just like, ew, rude, no. And then it's just downhill from there, really. Let me know down in the comments, do you think that Legend of Korra Season 2 can be salvaged? And if so, could I do it? The concept is that the Wendigos are like parasites that, because they're demons, so they are not whole, they are lacking, and so they need to latch on to the spirits who have positive energy and have a full essence, and so they're trying to consume it, but by the act of consuming it, it destroys it. Yes, it's Tolkiensian / Augustan / Thomist / Platonic. Very Western angle mixed into a more Native American, Ojibwe specifically, mythos mixed into the great melting pot that is the mythology of the story. The Wendigos grow in size based off of how powerful of a spirit they're feasting on to begin with. So in the end of Act 1, they take on like about an average level spirit who's been consumed by a Wendigo. And that Wendigo is about the size of a two-story house with an attic. It's like this typical size of a house in my town. I can look out the window and be like, It's that size. From there, the obvious solution is to have a Wendigo infesting the villain of the story, as Wendigos are symbols of greed and anti-community, which the story is about. Community, sharing, togetherness, unites them. So it was very thematically appropriate to have a Wendigo as the big bad. Also, it's sort of a mindless entity of destruction that we can just pick on and not feel bad about, because we don't want a body count in this fun, lighthearted tale. So, flirty fight ends when the Wendigo attacks, and then they fight the Wendigo together and save some people, and he gets the BBA, and she gets to use her powers. It's so lovely. And from there, I was like, well, obviously, now they need to Pacific Rim style team up to fight the kaiju level Wendigo that's going to attack the city at the finale. Like, the wedding scene of sorts is happening in a well-known landmark, and what do we do with landmarks in kaiju movies? We destroy them. So we just rip apart an iconic landmark. It gets better at the end, of course. And then the two take a dragon and attack the Wendigo, and she gets a moment of self-fulfillment. He gets to be more awesome and things. And that all just flowed so naturally, all from the problem of how do you fix the ending of a flirty fight to make sure that the characters are on the same side at the end. That's been set in more or less stone since June. The problem with this revision was what to do with the B Squad, namely the other 4 characters in their 5-man band. Cowboy is a special case. He is actually playing assistant to the male main character, female character. His power set is there to help pull them out of the bad situation. His role is to be like the life raft that they have at Pacific Rim, where they go like, oh yes, we can totally survive shooting back up through an interdimensional portal into the bottom of the Pacific Ocean and all the water pressure in there, and then just pop back up at the top of the ocean and things are just fine. It's like, sure that metal tube can fix that. I believe this. We have a magical guy who can take care of that, and the dragon. So between those two, I heightened the plausibility of this working out for them. The other 3, Wingman of Fire, the Nordic ice knight dude with a failure complex, and Princess Jasmine, best friend extraordinaire. The problem with them was that someone just gave them one of the most powerful artifacts in the realms and were like, have fun, you're gonna totally off yourselves. As a result of the villain's interference and them trying to make the best of a bad situation, they kind of accidentally tear a hole in the fabric of reality with this very powerful artifact that has been established previously as being a thing. And I was thinking like the interdimensional portal in the Avengers first movie. Actually, there is a scepter involved in both. But the problem is that unlike Black Widow and Science Dude, who can just turn the machine off because it's in their skill set, my B Squad characters don't have the ability to turn the machine or the magic off. That's above their pay grade by quite a bit. Originally, it was mostly them kind of like naive in the memory of light, just holding on and waiting for the more powerful characters to get there and fix stuff. I'm still using some of that because the most powerful characters in this story are like the canon characters from my town's actual legend. The legend doesn't currently involve a tear in the time-space continuum reality fabric thing, but it's in keeping with the themes. It's very Oklahoma farmer and the cowman should be friends. Two houses equally alike in dignity, and they're feuding constantly. Like, that's what the legend is about, sort of. So having the recognizable canon characters fix the whole space-time continuum thing is good. So the problem and the writer's block I had on Monday was, okay, these characters need to do something. I gave myself 1 to 2 scenes to like establish just like how inept they were to overcome the magical power of this artifact. However, by working together, they do hold it at bay. Yay! They hold the line. Important. And then the higher canon characters come and are great and grouchy old men to each other. And there is a wife there who's just like, guys, can we please stop feuding long enough to fix reality here? So they do, and then the B Squad get to fly on our guard to that, and there's an ongoing joke that I think is hilarious that the fire characters can't throw a fireball. I've explained this in this video series, but you need fuel to get fire to go places, and they don't have fuel. However, Princess Jasmine has the power to manipulate organic material, like flour. So what happens when you aerate flour and then set it on fire? Don't try this at home. Don't try it. Don't. Just go watch grain silo explosions. They're historical. They're great. So my resolution is that they're guarding the canon characters who are fixing the fabric of reality while also attacking the giant Wendigo monster that main character and female main character are stuck in. At best, this comes across like a Star Wars Death Star thing where you've got the fighter pilots trying to destroy the Death Star and Luke trying to team up with Vader to destroy the Emperor. That is what I was consciously going for here. Let's see if it pays off for me. So with all of that together, and then a water dragon attacks, because I realize I've been teasing the existence of water dragons for most of the book since the opening line. I was like, maybe I should have one of those since I finally opened the river so that they could come out of the river. But on Monday, I was not feeling it. Like, I'd given myself this deadline. I had to get this book done by the end of the week. I had to fix this problem. So I wrote anyway. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of writers struggle with is I don't feel motivated. Everything I write stinks. Why should I write? I wrote anyway. And it was terrible. I basically wrote a list of the description of the scene. Like, I did sort of write it in third person, but it wasn't personal at all. It was like, she is staring at the sky. There is a hole in the sky. It's getting bigger. This character comes up. This character says that. It is mildly funny. I knew I wanted to include the comparison of a kid licking a metal object in the middle of winter and getting it stuck. So I just kind of wrote that vaguely of like, oh, she had totally seen this happen once. It was a thing. And then kind of just, oh, the solution happens. So that's what I wrote on Monday. It was awful. Then I let it simmer for a bit. I looked at the main characters' pages I'd already written and was like, let's break this up so that we're going back and forth so that I don't feel the pressure of having to write a long sequence. Then, while musing about it on Tuesday, I watched the music video for Dosti from RRR because that is a big influence here. And I noticed the hands clasped, that they're blue arms in the music video, but with fire. And I was like, yes, that's the vibe. Now I know the vibe that I am aiming for. How do I fit it how do I get there? I think that was a big hurdle. I was like, I need all these things to happen, but what does it feel like? What am I trying to evoke? And the answer is RRR. And I really like that visual. So I was like, we're gonna work to this visual of blue arms on fire. Once the scene has a direction, we figure out how to work it up. What's the tension? What are people going to object to? In my story, Princess Jasmine is the one who's like chained to this artifact, and it's slowly giving her really, really bad frostbite. So it's like her arms are totally blue. That's an established fact. And fire characters like, what if I lit your arms on fire to try to like counteract the magic? And that's like a big ask, like naturally. And Norse knight character is going to be a bit opposed to the notion. Even though they're friends now, there's still that tension. So really building up on that tension. Now the visual of licking a metal object in winter becomes someone's character backstory. Fire guys specifically. And he can say like, oh yeah, everyone was freaking out, but I just warmed up the metal for them and did not burn the kid's tongue off. Important distinctions. So we have the two guys who are at odds, and the perspective character, Princess Jasmine, now needs to make a decision. And to give some direction to her decision, it starts with her being basically unconscious and only zapped back to consciousness by my favorite animal sidekick, the Lazaloon, which is a loon/raven-esque character who can shoot lasers out of its eyes. I like this. And that's used as, first aid against freezing. So she's zapped back to consciousness and has only a minute or so to kind of foggily make this decision of, do I trust my new friends to work together and keep me unfrozen until help arrives? And that's a question around which you can build a scene. And then, of course, she says yes, and then we get the visual. Blue arms on fire. And from there, things just began to flow much more naturally. I had alpha readers look at the first 3 chapters. A lot of feedback I was expecting. A bit hesitant about some of these alpha readers. They don't like the Wheel of Time, which I guess means they probably won't notice when I gallivant 3 different variations of Matt Coffin across their pages. I don't think they dislike the characters of the Wheel of Time. They just dislike Robert Jordan's verbosity, which this book does not have that problem. If there's a video next week, it will be just all about my move from my old studio to here. And after that, I'll be at Dragonsteel. And after that, we will finally get to that long-awaited Kaladin theory that the Song of Hiawatha inspired for me. And we'll go from there. So please stick around for all of that. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. See you next week. Bye!